The boob window is a popular but misunderstood motif in comic book literature. The boob window, and its more popular variation, the boob sock, is usually misinterpreted as being cheap titillation that panders to men who believe that objectifying the female body is the highest form of flattery. Obviously, this is just ignorant crazy talk, and it ignores the important historical context of the boob window. Allow me to explain. The pioneer of the boob window in comics was William Moulton Marston, who foresaw the sociological potential of this motif. Being a psychologist, he realized that cleavage drew the male gaze, captured men's attention, and allowed men to easily absorb that information through that almost hypnotic fixation. This reflexive staring was, as Marston called it, breast-induced psychosis. Marston adapted this concept and utilized it for his most famous creation, Wonder Woman. Strictly speaking, Wonder Woman doesn't have a boob window, but she does display cleavage, which is an essential element of the boob window. Had other factors not intervened, such as the untimely death of Marston in 1947 and the implementation of the Comics Code Authority, Wonder Woman would have likely adapted a boob window costume. Using Wonder Woman, Marston reinforced the belief that female characters built by their struggle against the male stereotypes that restrict the feminine self. Marston proved this struggle defines a woman's development, and that by focusing male attention on the exposed flesh of Wonder Woman, men would, and did, absorb this subtle information. Single-handedly, Marston advanced gender politics with nothing more than a pair of ordinary breasts, a revealing costume, and tame bondage scenes. Other classic characters, such as Phantom Lady, would incorporate Marston's concept during the 1940s, and the boob window developed in directions even Marston couldn't have predicted. However, this development came to a halt when the Comics Code Authority was established, and the boob window, along with other graphic depictions of real life, were abolished. Tragically, the boob window would not make another appearance until the 1970s. While Wonder Woman was discovering how to shop, and Lois Lane was learning a very valuable lesson about tanning salons, another character would proudly become the icon most closely associated with the boob window, Power Girl. Kara Zor-El debuted in All-Star Comics number 58, and she immediately became the subject of an urban legend that endures to this day. The legend states that the artist for that All-Star run, Wally Wood, increased Power Girl's bust size every issue to see if editorial would notice, but no one ever did. And by the end of the All-Star run, her breast set increased to the point of almost being a parody. However, as one can see in these sample panels from All-Star, that is simply not the case. Power Girl is consistently well endowed throughout the All-Star run. Now, as a character, Kara Zor-El has a history and an origin that is a conflicted, convoluted mess. She began as a member of the Justice Society on Earth 2. Then she was a founding member of Infinity Inc. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, she was transplanted to Earth 1. Her Kryptonian origin was removed, and she became a magic-based character from Atlantis. During the Zero Hour miniseries, she became pregnant with a magic baby that quickly disappeared from continuity once it was born. Then she learns she's not actually from Atlantis, she's actually from Krypton, and, well, you get the point. Power Girl has been through some shit. Which makes Power Girl the perfect character to personify the original intent of the boob window, as envisioned by William Moulton Marston. You see, the boob window doesn't simply reveal abundant, tightly packed cleavage. It reveals the character within. The tighter the flesh is within the boob window, the more conflicted the character is internally. The pressure of the restrained breasts indicates the anguish or distress of the female character. This conflict, processed subconsciously by the viewer, translates into empathy and ultimately the advancement of gender equality. As someone who spent valuable minutes researching this topic, I think I can speak with some authority when I say this is a metaphor for all women everywhere.
It's an overlooked portion of
History that deserves a closer look. This is not an explanation. Dada was an artistic movement that began as an anti-war protest. It embraced chaos and irrationality, which were elements that applied to the horrific First World War taking place at that time. Reason and logic had failed in the world, so an artistic movement emerged to reflect the time of its inception. It was intended to offend and be nonsensical, because that was the world. Think of Dada as the precursor to the hippie movement of the 1960s and the hundreds of songs written to protest the Vietnam War. That was Dada, stripped of its absurd pretenses. Dada was not one thing. It utilized the arts, not one specific form of art. It was a philosophy of art, if you will. Or, to quote the Dada Manifesto, written by Hugo Ball in 1916, Dada is a new tendency in art. One can tell this from the fact that until now, nobody knew anything about it, and tomorrow everyone will be talking about it. Dada comes from the dictionary. It is terribly simple. In French, it means hobby horse. In German, it means goodbye, or get off my back, or be seeing you sometime. In Romanian, it means, yes, indeed, you are right, that's it. But of course, yes, definitely right, and so forth. It's an international word, just a word, and the word, a movement. This was not an explanation.